and welcome to Week 5 of Series 2, the final week of racing in Series 2 for NOBUL Racing. This week, the drivers are taking on the benefactor Krieger along 5 relatively high-speed tracks, and there's actually plenty of action to be had throughout all 5. So let's get it started with track 1 called Chicken Little. We're riding along with Razor, someone you may not have seen before. Hasn't practiced, came into the series blind, placed at the very back, but ends up doing relatively well. You can see Lo-Fi just getting a little sloppy there, giving Razor plenty of room to move right up in there into 9th place. It does get a little bit tricky here in just a second, as we'll see a mistake that many people had actually made during practice, Razor not having practice, right up over the bridge and off, but miraculously saves it. Both drivers passing Pab on the right-hand side back there, moving up 1 position. That is a hell of a save by Razor, and of course now he knows, brake before the bridge. Riding along with Mugo now in 4th place, but can clearly see the top 3 just ahead. There's going to be a bit of a nudge between Joe and Friendly here. Friendly does get out in front, and Mugo and Joe racing side by side up to turn 1. Who's going to make it through? Joe tries to steal the inside, brakes too heavy. Friendly widens that gap as they start making their way through the higher speed S sections just up ahead. Now we're with Alpha, who started just near the back. Made an interesting choice on the setup for the car, leaving the aftermarket wing off, which is going to hinder the handling just a little bit, but this battle between Samno and Alpha has gotten really excellent. You can see Alpha staying right on Samno, giving him a few bumps, telling him go, right in the line of fire. It's always a lot more fun to have these close races, and I do believe that's why Alpha decided not to throw a huge spoiler on the rear of the car. Riding along with Joe on lap 3 now. Joe's really trying to make up some of the positions lost earlier on. As you remember, he was quite high up. Not quite sure what happened to Razor back there. Probably hit the inside barrier, but that allows Joe to get right up alongside. Once again, heading into turn 1, this seems to be where a lot of action for Joe really is. Manages to squeeze by and keep Razor back behind. If Razor can take the inside, nope, he's got 2 wheels in the dirt, which ultimately slows him down. Moving on to track 2, GP RockFord Ring, riding along with Samno here as the race starts. A bit of a bump already, and a bit loose over the curbs. Everyone's staying nice and bunched up here, which is going to make some interesting plays through the hairpins just up ahead. We'll see Friendly really trying to take the inside there up and over the grass just a little bit. Does lose a little bit of time. 2 both drivers up ahead, but both Stefan and Samno go a little bit too heavy into that corner, allowing Friendly to at least take up 5th place. Friendly's going to have to watch out for a little bit of that lag that we're seeing from Samno, but as they make their way up into this corner, which is a tricky one, it tightens on the second half, and you can see all these drivers slowing down. But this does allow both Samno and Friendly to take up 2nd and 3rd position. In the second half of the race, riding with Lo-Fi as he tries to outmaneuver Samno on that same hairpin. Manages to get it done, but just so. We'll see Samno slow down just a little bit too much on this left-hander here. Unfortunately, gonna give the gap to Lo-Fi. And as we move on to the final lap of track 2, riding along with Stefan, you can see Joe get a bit of whip snake there. Stefan is going to be pulling up alongside and working his way through the hairpin. Once again, a lot of action on this turn specifically. Side by side, and it's going to be maintained throughout the majority of this straight coming up as Joe gets a bit of oversteer over the bump there. But here it is, the side by side as both drivers come barreling toward that left-hander. Joe losing outspeed to Stefan and falling back into 2nd. Riding along with Chomp as they enter their final lap. He's going to try to outpace Samno here through the first few turns of the track, and again, all the action right here. Samno goes out a bit too wide, pushed too much power through and loses out. On to track 3, Ground Zero. Once again, riding along with Joe. Really trying to aggressively outmaneuver Chomp, and is going to stick to the inside, which is actually going to allow him to get that job done nice and cleanly. Had to push Chomp out to the outside. Takes up 3rd place, and now all he has to do is distance himself from those behind. Here on the same lap up ahead, riding along with Friendly in 2nd place. And you can see Pab just up ahead trying to defend 1st place. A really great position for Pab. But this is where the back and forth begins. Friendly on the inside, and now Pab on the inside of this long sweeping left-hander. A great little back and forth from these drivers, but you'll see here Pab is going to kind of back off a little bit, allowing Friendly to get through. hits the hay bale, but doesn't go flying off the track, which we've seen a lot of throughout practices, but luckily no one went flying or came to a dead stop there. On lap 4, we're riding along with Joe as he's also coming up right behind Pab, and Pab doing his best to defend that position once again, but also taking precaution and trying to be careful when allowing people near him. Doesn't want to mess anyone up, and Joe gets by cleanly. And yet another driver, Stefan, coming right up the inside, dropping Pab all the way back to 4th place for now. A little unfortunate for Pab, but he's still been having a great race regardless. Moving back to Mugo in 5th place here, also coming up on Pab. This last lap seems to be where a lot of that action is coming from. Already lost 2 positions. And in all honesty, it's gonna happen again here. Mugo, trying to read what's going on up ahead, is gonna take advantage of a clean sweep on the left, on the inside. Pab moving outward, trying to give some room. Doesn't want to cause any accidents, doesn't want anyone else to get in a wreck. It's just gonna make everyone worse off. Don't need to be risky, it's already happened. Let it go and take up that 5th place. Now on to track 4, the great Turkeybun run, riding along with Joe as the drivers had just gotten started with the race. A bit of contact there, Joe getting out ahead quite easily and quite early. All drivers coming up on Pab starting in pole position. Chomp is going to be making some great smooth moves here, really getting on Joe's tail, and it's going to happen right up here through this corner as Joe stays a little bit wide and Chomp breezes past on the inside there. Unfortunate for Joe, was a really great start, but it's not over yet. Beginning of the race. Near the end of lap 2, Mugo and Chomp having a moment here. You'll see Chomp letting off way earlier than Mugo and manages to get around very, very smoothly on the inside and bring it around, recapturing 1st place. We're watching some great competition here between Joe and Stefan. You saw Stefan get out in front of Joe here, but throughout this next little section, Joe is going to be utilizing the inside of these turns just a little bit to gain that advantage on Stefan. And unfortunately for Stefan, he does manage to get it done quite quickly and easily. On lap 4 of 5, Razor and Chomp battling it out, a little bit distracted as Mugo comes up from behind and manages to go right past both drivers, and you'd think that this was going to make going into the final lap much, much more interesting. But up ahead, we're going to see both Mugo and Razor get a little bit of a better line, and Chomp's going to have some company as Friendly comes in for a visit. This leaves Mugo and Razor kind of widening the gap up ahead. And on the final lap, you'll see that Chomp is now back in 5th place, really trying to make up positions as they're in the second half of the lap, and there isn't a whole lot of room left. A bit of an invitation there as Mugo strikes the inside barrier of that corner and loses out a bit of speed, allowing Chomp to take up 4th place. But it is close enough that Mugo can take it back through this final corner, but he's not going to be able to get it done. Chomp moves away and widens that gap. Alpha all the way up in 3rd place for kind of a last-minute battle as he squeezes right on by Stefan. But Alpha steps out a little bit too wide, a bit of oversteer, and slides the rear end out, allowing Stefan to recapture through the rest of the double apex there as they head into this final 90-degree turn onto the start-finish. Alpha checking behind. You can see 2nd through 5th was actually all quite close, which is awesome. We always love these really close, tight finishes to the races. And on to the very last track of Series 2, a NOBUL Racing G Cassidy Viaduct circuit, riding along with Stefan as he does some quick work against Friendly. Friendly smashing into the barrier, losing a lot of speed and 2 full positions as Mugo also makes a move for 2nd place up there. And we'll see Razor coming in just behind and getting right on Friendly's rear end and also making some quick work out of moving past. That's a lot of positions lost by Friendly in just a very short period of time, and hopefully he can at least stay close to those higher up in the pack. Still riding along with Razor later on the same lap. You can see him trying to get some work done on Stefan, and it's going to be a really close side-by-side here throughout this final section of the track. A lot of work going in to try to keep those inside lines nice and tidy and tight. Stefan's a little bit late on the power reduction there, trying to take it back in on the second half of that turn, but doesn't manage to get it done there. Does maintain quite a bit of speed here and gives Razor a bit of a nudge and keeps it close. That's going to wrap up the entirety of Series 2 here at NOBUL Racing, with Stefan taking 1st place, Friendly in 2nd, and Mugo in 3rd. For the playlist, you can see Alpha on an island in 4th, Joe and Chomp quite close in 5th and 6th. Moving on to points overall, and your top 3 in the whole series, Alpha, Stefan, and Mugo, doing a wonderful job A big congrats and thanks to all drivers for participating in NOBUL Racing Series 2. We will see you soon.